everybody. I made myself a little more visible for a second, just for a moment. Now there's two of me. Anyway, how are you? It is just me, the internet's and YouTube's, and probably the real world's least relevant and most easily forgettable human. It is me, the underconfident human, Mr. Underconfident, at your service. Welcome to my pseudo podcast or pseudo ASMR channel, pseudo what have you. Today, I would like to talk about and give you a little tour of my Chromebook as what life has been like daily driving just this Chromebook Plus for about 3 months or so now. I have switched over to this laptop as my full-time computer. I use it both at home and at work, and I do everything I want to do on it. And I can only say that it is wonderful. I had written, if you go back a couple months or so, I had written a WordPress. I did a video recorded right from this laptop, just like I'm doing now, inside WordPress, writing about how shocking it was that I found myself falling in love with a Chromebook. Now, I need to make something explicitly clear before I go any further. This is an awesome laptop. This is not a cheap $200 plastic crap, Chromebook. Number two, Chromebooks are not what you think if you think they are total garbage, because I always believed for a long time, in fact, that Chromebooks were just really cheap, low-grade hardware laptops that pretty much just run the Chrome browser. Like, they have to be connected to the internet, and they don't really do anything offline, except, nothing, and they just run Chrome. Maybe that was true like 10 years ago or whatever, but these machines are far, far more than I ever thought they were, and it's such a wonderful and pleasant surprise. These Chromebooks, especially ones like mine that are a little higher end, a little improved in terms of hardware specs, are actually a 3-in-1 unit, because you've got all the ChromeOS stuff, which has a little more offline utility to it than just the Chrome browser. But you got the ChromeOS stuff. It runs Android. So I have, if you look here, I have the Play Store on board. And then, most importantly, the actual secret to being a power user with a Chromebook is that, in reality, you have a Linux laptop. This thing runs Debian Linux in a container, and it's the full-blown Debian. We'll get into that soon, but just technically speaking, my most common use cases for my laptop generally involve desktop software, and that is courtesy of Linux in this case. Having all the Chrome OS stuff and some of the Google tools in those apps and the Android apps is just an added bonus, because I'll be honest, there are times when the design and utility of a mobile app is just a lot more smoother and convenient than pulling up a full-blown website to do things like my banking stuff, and if I want to order food from somewhere, I use the Android app instead of pulling up the website, because to me it's just smoother and more convenient. Anyways, as far as work goes, I got my Teams down here because I use it a lot. I can't really pull that up for you because obvious reasons. There's a lot of information there that I do not need to be sharing on YouTube. But suffice to say, though, I am the only person at my office that uses a Chromebook. yeah, anyway, I really love this thing. And I would say that because of all that capability and flexibility that Google has taken the Chromebook a little more seriously than I ever guessed. I mean, I wish I would have known this stuff a lot sooner. But as for my laptop, this particular one, all encased in aluminum, just the most wonderful freaking keyboard I have ever typed on a laptop in my entire life. Like, this keyboard feels so glorious, and it's pretty, but it feels great. The way the keys are just the right type of, like, I mean, they're plastic keys, yet they have sort of a slight matte, almost rubber coating of sorts on them, and their travel and the way they click has that mechanical feel without being super loud. But it feels great. This is such a joy to type on. Uh, High resolution touchscreen. This laptop can be flipped back into a tablet. I don't ever really do that, but it's nice to have the option, I guess. But anyways, um, since this is not a tech channel or anything professional or serious, this is more meant to be, just so we're clear, basically some visuals and the sweet sound of my whisper. So hang out with me if you want to, and I'll kind of show you what I do, um, some of what I do with my laptop, and again, I can honestly say that I just daily driving just this as my computer. I mean, I've got my phone, of course, but just this, and I am happy as can be. I am totally satisfied with taking care of all the desktop stuff and whatnot with the Chromebook. This Chromebook is my jam. I love this thing. I will put a link down in the description here a little later, to the product page to show you exactly which Chromebook I bought. I personally upgraded the storage myself, but other than that, everything is, spec'd as it was, obviously. But and it's not a shopping page. It's not an affiliate link or any of that crap, because I don't do that crap. I mean, I don't even I don't even believe in the quality of my own channel that much to ask people for money and try to make money. So you don't have to worry about that. But anyways, if you want to see exactly what machine I'm using to record this and what I'm running on here, I'll put it below. So let's get rid of all of this, because nobody really wants that. And I'll just keep myself down here. I guess before we get into doing much here, I'm going to pull up my settings and show you a couple of things here. As you can see, I have 1.5 terabytes in use and another 462 gigs yet available. Yes, I took the original SSD that was in this laptop and replaced it with a 2 terabyte Western Digital Black, like as soon as I got it home. First thing I did was create a bootable USB recovery, thumb drive, and then, because I need the storage space, as you can see, everything I could want right now is installed on here, and I still have about a half a terabyte available. But the reason I'm using so much here, and this isn't accurate, like where you see system says 448 gigs, ChromeOS is not using that. That includes a lot of stuff I've put in here. But anyways, I have a massive music and movie library. I've been finally managing and curating my music library ever since that was a thing. I rip a lot of my CDs to lossless. Not all of them, but I do a lot of audio stuff. And then my TV shows and movies. I own an extensive bunch of TV shows and movies. And I own them. As in, I don't like to stream stuff that I really want to have. My music is primary and most important to me, so I own it. I don't need an internet connection at any point in time to listen to my music or watch any of my shows or do whatever I want to do. So anyway, that's the need for all the storage. As far as my system goes, this is the current version of ChromeOS I'm running as of this video. This is July 4th, 2024. Pull up my diagnostic here and show you my system. So we have a 5095 milliamp hour battery. This is a 12th gen Core i3 8-thread processor and 8 gigs of RAM. I wish I had a 16 gig of RAM unit, but couldn't afford one at the time. Didn't even see an option on where I got this one at. But looking further, well, after I pulled the trigger on buying this particular one, they do exist. There's 16 gig units. Kind of wish I would have done that in hindsight. But anyways, so 12th gen Core i3. This is not one of those weird Intel, like, budget chips that doesn't even have a real name, or those MediaTek chips or whatever. This is a full-blown desktop i3, which is excellent for a Chromebook and for a Linux laptop for, daily use type of thing. So, barring work stuff, just a quick look at, the Google stuff is very obvious. Google Chrome and all of the web apps and stuff that are built into that. Some people like that kind of thing. I don't. But more power to them. The Chrome browser itself on here is great, for regular web browsing and stuff. Some of the native Google apps like Gmail, I have grown very fond of using Gmail. At home and on the go. Like, this app is smooth. I'm very fond of the layout. It's really grown on me. A lot of the stuff that's built in, nice and convenient, quick. I think this is neat too. Even the fact that the desktop app here has all these add-ons that you can install. Google Workspace Marketplace built it right into the client. I already have Zoom on here, but like Zoom, a lot of these I don't even know about, but like a built-in extension for Dropbox right off the rip. You can send stuff directly, emails or files directly to Dropbox. That's super convenient. Just all these different tools. Faxing, you can send an email as a fax, and I think it's really cool. But anyways, yeah, so some of the built-in regular Chrome stuff I use plenty. Photos app. Google Photos is pretty nice to use on the desktop. Family, friends. I have a pretty well curated photo library. That was always another one of my big things, managing my photo library. And this part is both online and offline, because my photo library exists in my residence storage, but is also online. Makes it pretty easy to go looking at stuff. I get stuff like that once in a while when I'm recording my camera. It doesn't seem to like the screen capture. I don't know why. Anyways, just as an example, I promise really I don't have issues when it's like my DOS box acts funny and certain stuff does when I'm running screen capture, because this is very processor intensive. If you listen close, you can actually hear my fan running now, and generally the fan for this Chromebook never kicks on, even when I'm running Linux apps. Anyways, looking through photos, very easy. I like this app, I just do. The stuff like you're seeing here, this is one of my hobbies, is photographing dead nature and winter. I actually get more exercise for my fat person in the wintertime than I ever do in the summertime. I like the cold, and I bundle up and go hiking, and sometimes I will dedicate a day just once or twice in the winter season to going out to these places I like to hike at and capturing winter photography. Not that I'm any good at it, I just do it with my phone. I do know how to, kind of obviously alter my depth of field and things like that to get the right shots, but I like dead nature. One of my hobbies. I'm getting zoomed in photos of stuff like this compared to, and then stuff like this. Everything is dead and the snow covered. To me, this is more beautiful and more intriguing to my senses than a lush green forest is. All the dead stuff, see, like this. To me, this shot was awesome. Everything there, like this whole appearance to my eyes is very striking. So, anyways, Google Photos runs really well on its own. Just trying to think of what else I might show you that's not an example of where I like to use the Android app for things instead of anything else. This is the mobile Android app right from the Play Store for Jimmy John's. So if I want to order Jimmy's, I just go through. I don't want to get into this part, obviously, and share information like that, but I use the mobile app for certain things like this because to me this is just a lot smoother and more convenient. And it's kind of fun to use some of these apps with a mouse. I could touch it because my screen is touchscreen, but I also have the cursor. That old school part of me that, literally grew up with computers does have a certain fondness for doing things with a mouse and keyboard. So that's basic shit, right? We have Linux on board, so let's talk about that for a minute. Because obviously getting desktop apps, no big deal. Like this is great, for example, by the way, having, LumaFusion on board. When I bought this thing, it came with a discount for like 50% off or whatever in the Play Store, and I was like, yep, I'll take it. That's how I'm going to edit the very video you're watching right now. But anywho, let's talk about the real core functionality here, the desktop stuff, Linux. So, as you can see here, we are running Debian Linux version 12 Bookworm. And this is full blown. Oh, and yes, by the way, I intentionally set my terminal colors to, black and green matrix colors because you can't. You absolutely cannot be a real hacker if you're not using a green terminal. It's just the way it is. That's what the real hackers do. Yeah. So as you can see by this here, Linux does run in a container in ChromeOS. You actually go into here and enable Linux sharing. And the Linux environment, they call it the development environment. If you enable this on a Chromebook that's capable, that has the hardware to do it, it will install a Linux container, and you can set the disk size for that to whatever you want it to be, whatever's available for you. It has to be local storage. This is not cloud. You can set up what folders on the resident Chromebook storage that are shared with Linux because it's got its own as well, and you can do that in reverse. So, for example, getting to my Linux files, I have a couple of options. I can browse my Linux, like I installed Conqueror, for example. I can browse my Linux file system that way, but even for the native app, I have added a lot of folders here, obviously, but Chromebook, My Files, and then down here, Linux files. So this is my entire user directory, or my, sorry, my home directory. The slash home folder, for those that understand, is right here. Everything under the slash home, and then my user is here. If I want to get to the rest of my file system, which file system, right? I do it through Linux. I can also use this Files app from the Play Store, which will allow me to access my internal storage for everything else. The stock My Files app built into the Chromebook is this. You basically have your user folder on the file system, which is all you see here, everything that's inside the user folder. All the rest of the file system you can't see with this app. And same with Linux, right there. So these two things are sort of your home directories. But this Files app, as you can see, there's the Android dsem document. This lets me get to the whole rest of my file system. On the ChromeOS and Android side, like, that's all there. And then in here is where I get to the Linux side. Not that I would need to. I mean, really, everything that personal data-wise that I'm interacting with is already in my home folder. See? Just my user folder. But if I go back to here, I have the full. And for example, when we're talking about using Debian Linux, you can add repositories, any Debian compatible repository you want. So in my case, like, there's my repository list. So, as an example, now mind you, we're on a Chromebook, right? I still have all of my favorite Linux stuff right at my fingertips, and it's not going out of its way to do anything special to run it. It's pretty native, fits right into the rest of my system. I mean, you notice down here on the bar, we've got the icon, right? So I can minimize and go back to a Chromebook related app, a native app, and then go right back into my GIMP. For example, I use GIMP for a lot of stuff, so I love having that on board. When I want to watch some of my assorted videos and things, I originally installed VLC just from the Play Store because it was there. And as it turns out, it's just the Android version, obviously, and it kind of sucks. I wanted the full-blown desktop version. So I went in and installed it through Linux instead of the Play Store. Another thing I like to do, something I've done officially since 2002 and not frequently. I mean, it might only be once or twice or, a month, if that. Sometimes a little more and sometimes a little less, but I keep a diary or a journal of sorts. And I've always done it in a word processor. I've tried assorted apps and things over the years, but in my earliest days, it was ClarisWorks format that I was saving my data in. ClarisWorks, AppleWorks, being a Mac kid. And then later I switched over to rich text format. Then I used to save my journal for a while in doc format. Then I went back to rich text format. Nowadays I use PDF, but I installed on this computer the full LibreOffice suite. The entire set of tools. Really all I use is LibreOffice Writer, but it's just nice to have the options because, again, Google Docs and all that stuff has offline use, but I still prefer something like this, a full-blown proper thing. And then take this, I set up my page styles in advance so that it looks like this when I export it. This isn't just a dark theme. This is black, but this black background on this sheet is exactly how it comes out. I did that on purpose. If I sent this to a printer, it would print it black because this is the native. I set up this page style, but this is how I always like. Time has been 6. So I've always started ever since, I started doing this a little more in 2002, but I have a couple entries of sorts all in one sheet from the late 90s when I first got the idea to start writing a journal of sorts when I was in high school. So it's fun to go back and look at that stuff. But anyways, nowadays I save my diary in PDF format because I can, put pictures in it. So if let's see, what would be something I could slap in here? I don't know what these pictures are off the top of my head. Let's just grab something. There we go. So I'll slap a picture in here and then get the typing away. So export as a PDF and yada yada. And it saves it, like I said, black background with white text like this. So, sorry, I ramble sometimes, but anyways, so I keep my my daily, or not daily, I'm sorry, I keep my journal on my Chromebook, and I keep it native and local in PDF format. I do not use Google Docs. I don't use that online at all. All of the Linux stuff here, by the way, like I said, this container is running on the Chromebook. This is not running in the cloud. So I do not need the internet to do any of this stuff whatsoever. While we're talking on the Linux side of things, I also installed Flatpak on here just to have some more options. Did I ever install? I didn't think so. Whenever you install Linux apps too through the command line, it makes a little folder here called Linux apps and puts them right in here. See, like here's all my LibreOffice stuff. GIMP, all my trackers. That's something I'm glad I have. I dabble with music. I have written music in the past under a totally different name, obviously, and I use trackers. So like Fast Tracker, for example, big fan. This is the clone version from 16bits.org. But this is a slightly outdated version. I'll have to do something about that later. But anyways, I just recently got these installed because I can. All native Linux apps. Another one I was fond of back when, Milky Tracker. This is just, it's so wonderful to have all these available. This is desktop stuff you can't do on a phone that I want to have, like GIMP and stuff like that, I want to have available to me because it's desktop stuff, like it's, and the fact I can do these things, I can write music, I can do my GIMP stuff, and it's all on a Chromebook. Still hearing myself say that I can do these things on a Chromebook is kind of weird to me, but it is what it is. So, I mean, if I want to install something from Linux land, let's go Audacity, because I don't have it on here yet. Goes right through and does what I tell it to do. It's like your typical, Debian Linux or any other Linux. The package manager goes in and finds all your dependencies and does the thing. See if there's any upgrades floating around out there. Nope, no updates. So now if you watch, so now we've got Audacity on board. Again, all native. I also installed Flatpak. I don't think I... Okay. So if I wanted to go this route... Oh, sorry, I'm not paying attention. Oh, when I'm typing apt, I'm like, why isn't this working? This is how I get distracted. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. My bad. Sudo Flatpak. Install Obsidian. So we'll get the stable first. I'm sorry, I feel silly now. Typing apt in front of Flatpak. Goofy. Okay. Now, when you go to install Linux apps, you can always do it through the command line, but what's the convenience of that, right? Do you notice how I have Kemp and VLC and LibreOffice DOSBox down here in my bar so that I can just click on them and go? When you install stuff through Linux, it automatically adds them to this little subfolder of sorts here in the menu for Linux apps. Every Linux app I install is here. So I just installed Audacity through apt get from Debian, as you saw. And then I went through Flatpak to install Obsidian, which there is a version of Obsidian in the Play Store, the Android mobile version, but I don't like the mobile app. I'm still playing with Obsidian. I've always kept my journal in word processors because I have individual dated files, and it's easier for me to manage and make sense of rather than write everything in Markdown and have these .md files that if someone ever wanted to see these things when I was dead and gone, I don't know that your average person knows how to work with a .md file, Markdown files, but regardless, I was recently introduced to Obsidian through a Reddit chat, and I decided to give it a shot. So anyway, Obsidian. I just wanted to get the desktop one on because I've been trying to figure out how to use the Android version. I guess while I'm at it here, speaking of Android apps, so there are a few Android apps here and there, as far as I know, that only open up in mobile portrait mode on a phone, and they don't have a tablet version. Those are the only Android apps that you pretty much have to use in that format. So in other words, they're shaped like this, and they stay that way, but I don't think any of my apps have really done that. Most Android apps from the Play Store have a tablet mode as well that, obviously is used for an Android tablet, and so those apps automatically open up in this format where it says tablet. I can't resize this window, it stays this size, but a nifty little ChromeOS feature here is that any Android app, any of them, that fires up in tablet mode is resizable. So if I switch it to resizable, it always gives you a warning that this app is designed for mobile and may not resize well. The app may experience issues or restart. I have yet to see that happen to me, but if I set it to this, now it becomes a regular, I missed the corner there, it becomes a regular, desktop window that you can remember. This is an Android app, Android, and I can resize it to whatever I want, even maximize it. So the ability to treat a majority of Android apps just like another native desktop app that I can stick down here on my bar if I want to. That's groovy. That's really convenient. Um, so, but as I said earlier, so we've got all the native Linux stuff, and it runs really well. Um, Android and ChromeOS stuff. This, like for example, there are again some things, basic things you do that I prefer the mobile version of the app. I dig this Chief Wahoo. I had never in my life owned or would wear a Hawaiian shirt, but I'm thinking about buying this thing. Um, but anyways, using the app version of some of these things is just to me a little more convenient. I did a video ways back here when I was toying with Steam. So I've got Portal and Fallout. I, of course, really much prefer to play these on my Xbox, but I just wanted to try it. Let's see, LumaFusion. Yes, I play a handful of Roblox games with my daughter. She's grown now, but she still loves her certain couple of things. And I haven't really used it on this laptop yet, but um, Instagram, Bank, Teams. So yeah, editing videos and images and things like that with LumaFusion and GIMP respectively, no problem. Consuming all my media library, no problem. Gaming, I don't do a lot of PC gaming in the first place, but it's nice to have the option. And then this was something that I installed for fun to kind of take me back to my childhood. Now, as I have said in the past, I personally, like for my own ownership or whatever, I grew up with the Mac. I always had Macintosh computers, but when I was a kid, my dad was the one with a PC because he was doing AutoCAD and stuff like that. And I remember the first time that I got to toy with his. He'd been through a couple of computers back then when I still had my little black and white Macintosh, you know. It was a Macintosh SE, but this is a little more of what his computer looked like because he had the PCs and having everything in color at the time was really exciting. I spent most of my time as a little kid on my Macintosh, like I was on my computer doing my stuff, but Dad's computer had the games, so eventually he ended up giving me his old PC when he upgraded, and then I had both. I had the Macintosh and the PC, and so I got pretty used to DOS as a kid. Having these options available. Sorry. I better not do that. I don't know about copyright for audio and stuff, but it's anyway, the sound is perfect, but it's nice to be able to play these games. Ultima in DOSBox has this funny quirk for some reason that when I tell it to load the game, it reloads the title screen like 3 times before it goes. I don't understand that. See, I'll watch those. 3 times, every time. This was a game right here. So, go back to the castle. I had this as a kid. Dad had bought this for me in a box set. It came with a cloth map, and I still have that cloth map. I don't think the sound will even work this when I'm recording my screen. I didn't think so. Let me bring that back up there for a second. Oh yeah, I'm trying to use the in-game mouse to. There we go, that's what I was looking for. I don't know if it'll hit me with a copyright or not for using that audio. But anyway, sorry. I'm sorry. Back to the story. So this game came with a cloth map, like a big cloth map that I kept. I used to have it hanging on my wall when I was a little kid, with just a couple of thumbtacks in the corners. I liked it. I thought it was a cool looking map, so it hung on my wall. Many years later, somehow I still have that thing. It sat in a box for a long time, good and safe. I went online probably back in 2008, 9, 10, somewhere way back, and found this online shop that builds custom frames. This cloth map is exactly 12 by 12. So I had them build this really heavy, thick, heavy glass frame. I mean, it's gorgeous, and put that map in it. And to this day, as a grown man, I still have it hanging on my wall. You know, I'm like 6 or 7 years old or whatever, and I still have that cloth map, and it is in pristine shape because it's never been abused. It was just hanging up, and then at some point wrapped up and stored, and now, you know, or back then framed. So this is DOSBox. Specifically a build called DOSBox X. This is Ultima 6, a role-playing game where like my inventory and me, and this is how you equip things with the members of your party. You can see their specs like so. I cheated when I first installed this and ran a couple of commands that automatically max out everybody's stats. But this game sort of works like so. Like you can first off talk to people. You see a carefree fellow in a ludicrous costume. Oh yo yee hum, I've got a clue. It's important and it's just for you. Now, when you try to talk to these guys, you can say anything, but they generally want you to focus on the stuff highlighted in red. If I say name, for example, he'll answer me. Why, I'm Chuckles the Jester, of course. You've heard of me, haven't you? Heard. You've heard a word? Why, that's absurd. You just said that. It's no. Fine. Let's talk to Lord British. You see that? This is where you start the game at. It's right here. I can ask him for healing, and it will heal my party. I sit once more upon the throne of Britannia. The gargoyles are indeed the greatest threat our realm has ever known. We are fortunate indeed that fate hath brought thee here. Anyway, this is how you get information from people. Talking to them. The gameplay. Any items, like you use a lot of these commands along the bottom of the screen here are for your functions, but you can also keyboard command it. Here I'm knocking myself against the wall. So this game used to use the sound card to put out music, and used to use your built-in PC speaker to put out sound effects. So it's obviously got to emulate that because computers don't really have PC speakers anymore. Little internal speakers that just beep. But yeah, so this game is massive. And you hear that clicky sound? I don't know if you hear it or not because I don't have it recording internal audio, but it's emulating the water sound. It's emulating the clicky of the PC speaker. I think that's just so cool. This game you're seeing, though, the reason I fired this up is other than showing how awesome that DOS itself and DOS games run inside the Chromebook Linux installation. It's great. So this game is like one of the early early concepts of open world. This does not have a mission, like it's got a fixed main storyline. There's a lot of side quests you can do and discover, lots of places to explore. It has day and night, so sometimes you have to camp and sleep if you want to, or keep exploring. Your characters eventually have to eat. You have gold to purchase things from shops. Um, there's horses you can ride. If I steal one of these, I'm going to create an incident, so I don't want to do that, but you can ride horses. The storyline of this game is big, is very huge. There's just so much to it, and I could easily spend a couple hours explaining it, but I'll spare you that. As far as fighting goes, I hit the A button, and then depending on what weapon I'm using, I can choose what I'm going to attack. If I have a ranged weapon, like a slingshot or bow and arrow, then this cursor will go. I can't move it any further because I'm using a sword right now, but it'll go further out there. Like, for example, if I wanted to switch over from my sword to one of my lightning wands, now if I hit attack, I can go way out here and it'll shoot lightning at it. That's just me. I can hit the numbers on my keypad to take just one of my party members and have them go solo. So I can set up some, more complicated things doing that. Or if there's parts of the story that a certain person will only talk to such and such a person, and you can get various party members. This one, for example, is like these other guys, Dupree, Chamino, and ILO, are your starting party, and they are part of the main storylines. Generally, you want to keep them. They can be killed off, and it changes things. That's like I could kill one of my own teammates right now if I wanted to. But this game has a lot of possible companions. This one is a special one from the castle that I added later. Sherry, a mouse. As you can see, she's this little brown dot. But she can fit into mouse holes and things that the humans can't. There's gargoyles later that you can eventually befriend, so you can befriend other types of creatures besides just humans. If I hit 0, then it puts us all back in a party formation again. See, it's starting to get dark. When things come to attack you, various creatures and stuff like that, I hit B. The music changes to that, and everybody sort of becomes autonomous. They don't move in an exact formation, and when something's out there, they start attacking it. But the size of this game, this world, the various things there are to explore, the caves and dungeons, and this is huge. There's a sign, let me look at it. Brings it up in runes. There was a book that came with this game that you could translate things with the runes. See, it's getting dark, so it's hard to see. So this is the part where you're supposed to, I can either cast a light spell and bring up some more of the map. This will temporarily work and then wear off, or set up camp. This game consumed, this is probably the earliest game I can recall that really consumed a lot of my life as a kid. I mean, I really spent a lot of time with this particular game. I don't believe I just did that. It's funny in DOSBox that Linux commands work to display, what should be this. Any old school people remember this guy, Jazz Jackrabbit. Anyway, I'm gonna sit and play games for the whole video. But, so yeah, as you can see, everything runs perfectly. Like, I like the fact that it does DOS. I even have a couple of interfaces. You saw that we have Windows, of course. The Microsoft Entertainment Pack. But then you can also run Gem. This is what computing looked like when I was a kid. Sorry. But anyways, so options galore. You can run DOS on here. I'm sure there's other emulators I might toy with eventually that I haven't, but so some good old-fashioned retro DOS gaming. It's one of my personal things that it's really difficult to maybe do on a phone that a Chromebook, at least one with decent hardware, can do extremely well. So, there you have it. I really hope that someone somewhere might have enjoyed this video and the sights and sounds. And if not, if no one ever sees it, well, no one ever sees it. But to get back to the whole base of the video, this is my Chromebook. I have been using this exclusively for 3 months, maybe 3 months and some change at this point, and I have no intention of stopping. I'm able to do all the desktop related stuff that I want to do and combine that, blend that with some of the stuff that has made its way into my life that I very much prefer, so like the mobile apps and Android stuff, and even some of this ChromeOS stuff. All in all, a Chromebook, a good Chromebook, is worth the money. There are Chromebooks out now that are I paid about 500 for this one, 500 bucks. But there are Chromebooks out there now that are around $1,000. It would sound funny maybe to say, yeah, I'm going to spend $1,000 on a Chromebook. But the truth is, at this point now that we know what we know, it's entirely worth it. It makes just as much sense. It makes just as much sense to buy a $1,000 Chromebook as it does to buy any other $1,000 laptop, in my opinion. Assuming that it can meet your needs, because the hardware is what counts. Some people need Windows. They need certain apps that are only in Windows and don't exist in Linux or don't exist in Android. And then gamers. Obviously, no gamer really has, other than people like me that enjoy playing incredibly retro games. There's no reason for a hardcore gamer to buy a Chromebook, but then again, there's no reason for a hardcore PC gamer to buy a pre-built laptop or any pre-built anything in the first place. If you're serious about gaming, you build your own. This is not meant to compete with that. Then Windows people, if they have stuff they just have to have, that's what they're stuck with. I'm not saying that the Chromebook is the most superior thing in the world on the computing market. I don't make that claim at all, but what I do claim is that a Chromebook in the hands of the right user that can meet their needs, of course, is wonderful. The fact that this can serve me both in my at work and home life, the fact that I can do all my desktop stuff that I want to do personally, like I said, editing video, making music, images and stuff like that, combined with the convenience of like certain Android apps and all that, all simultaneously running smooth and native right at my fingertips. To me, that is a marvelous computing setup. It's really a good way to go, and I absolutely love this thing. I haven't used, you know what? My old 2017 MacBook Air has been sitting against my wall over there for ever now. Like, I don't even use this anymore because I don't need to. Um, as I've worked, as I've worked towards getting away from Apple in general, this leap right here was a pleasant surprise. I don't miss my MacBook at all. I'm very happy here, and daily driving this Chromebook has been wonderful. That's all I can say. 3 platforms in one place, all seamlessly integrated, runs lovely. I cannot complain. But that's right. So, anyways, hey, thank you so much for hanging out with me this evening. I hope that maybe this video gave you some thoughts, ideas, enjoyed the sounds, or whatever. It's not like I'm super skilled. It's just me, a Chromebook, and this guy right here. So, this is the Underconfident Human signing out. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'll see you later.